Hello. So, welcome to the breakdown of our workshop. And just this is an invitation for expressive arts therapy experiential that looks at ritual and ceremony that's based around kind of a trauma informed, symbolic, intuitive, psychosomatic, archetypical exploration of how we embody our multi-generational trauma, and the complexity of what that even feels like or looks like or sounds like or smells like, or how do we want to express that. So as Fofia and I have explained, that a lot of this is based kind of in narrative amongst many other theoretical frameworks, but specifically when providing clients with the opportunity to opt out of an embodiment or a kinesthetic somatic experience and maybe see if they're more interested in a tactile visual arts based modality, we decided that maybe collage was an appropriate medium and just a way of sourcing secondary images. There's no emphasis around like creative capacity. It's just about preferencing and listening to your intuition and symbols and metaphors that start popping up. So in both of our workshops, or both of the modality options, there is an invitation to kind of explore the roles of this notion of where are you in your ancestral lineage, and the impact of what that feels like. So kind of exploring the roles as an active mediator and kind of act in negotiation and recalibration and examination of the meanings and predicaments and problems or situations that are arising, both individually and collectively, because nobody exists in a vacuum, right? It also kind of casts the client to be the originators of any preferred meaning, or they're the masters of their own story and their own narrative. So, just as an example, it's a 3-phased process. And the first collage or first invitation that we provide clients with is essentially about opening the channeling and how do we centralize the experience. So they're invited to examine what kind of this threshold of connecting with your ancestors looked like. So just basically giving them an invitation to create something that's around a threshold and connection and permission, right? The second prompt that they're given is examining these invisible wounds, your sorrow, strength, and kind of playing with how do you feel about this and the languaging here and the stories we're telling ourselves. And so you have the opportunity to make a second collage. I think it also provides some breadth, that you don't have to have one big image, that you can have multiple different narratives, and there's different symbols and meanings in all of them. The third invitation is around kind of the integration, a gratitude, a sense of wisdom, and kind of how we're closing and walking away and looking forward, what we've gotten out of this, and the symbols and the metaphors and the medicine that's kind of come up and come forward. And so you give them a third invitation and allow them to kind of create whatever it is that they're wanting. It also can be adapted if you don't feel like you are drawn to doing 3 separate images. You can have people just work with a central image using mostly words, and each collage should be given, or the whole experiential should be given, about 30 to 45 minutes, and then with enough time for either mutual aid sharing amongst, if it's in a group dynamic amongst peers, or you could do it seminar style with people kind of sharing collaboratively, collectively, or if it's just a one-on-one, it's between therapist and client. So yeah, the idea behind this is just kind of seeing how in which we're gathering meaning and how in which we want that meaning to shift, and potential that's in there, and the connections that we're making along the journey. And being completely self-initiated by the client with very minimal directives, but a whole lot of witnessing and holding space, and what kind of dialoguing can be held when, you know, we're looking at images or we're going through a creative process, or what's standing out and the significance behind that. Yeah, and then it can also be very powerful as a therapist to be note-taking and to be witnessing and compiling information of sharing that process with your client. It's all a possibility, but I'm sure that this is very easily adapted to any sort of clientele base. So I'm wondering how this lands and works and sits with you all. Thank you for listening, and